Before the lights of WrestleMania, before the pyro, the global tours, the billion-dollar TV deals, wrestling was something else entirely. It was local, it was raw, it was territorial. It was the secret world carved into small pieces full of handshake deals and fierce loyalty. This is the story of how wrestling once ruled America, not from one place, but from dozens. Welcome to the territories. In the decades before WWE became a global brand, professional wrestling operated in a completely different system, a patchwork of independent promotions that controlled different regions. This was the territory system, and it was loosely governed by the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance. Think of it like wrestling cartel. Promoters ran their specific areas, but they all agreed not to invade each other's turf. Each territory had its own roster, its own television show, its own champion, and its own style. Memphis had wild brawls, the AWA in Minnesota was technical, and Texas, all heart and blood. Fans were fiercely loyal to their local promotion. These weren't just shows, they were events. Weekly TV built to monthly blow-offs in high school gyms, fairgrounds, and sold-out civic centres. And the system worked. For a while. At the centre of the territories stood one man, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the travelling champion, the crown jewel of the alliance. Unlike today where most companies have their own champion, back then there was just one world title, and the man who held it wasn't just tied to one promotion. He went from territory to territory, defending against the local hero. That made the champion the ultimate draw. Fans in towns such as Amarillo, Charlotte, and Kansas City didn't just want to see wrestling, they came to see if their hometown favourite could bring home the title. But it wasn't just about star power. The travelling champion had to be a ring general. He had to be able to wrestle every style, elevate his opponents, and make every single one of them look like a real threat. Even when sometimes they weren't. Ric Flair, Harley Race, Jack Briscoe, they didn't just win matches, they told stories. And sometimes they lost. On purpose. But they didn't lose the title. A touring champion had to be tough, well respected and trusted. Because with no script, no big production crew, and only a handshake agreement to protect the title, it all came down to one thing. Honour amongst thieves. Wrestlers didn't have private jets or million-dollar contracts. They had beat-up cars, endless drives, and a dream. They worked 6, sometimes 7 nights a week, paid, if you were lucky, in cash, ate at gas stations and slept in motels. But if you were over and the crowd loved you, you could be a local god for a night. Each territory had its own booker, its storyteller. They would build slow burner feuds, personal rivalries, and always leave the fans wanting to return next week. Storytelling wasn't just a part of the show, it was the show. Heroes were loved, heels were hated, and if business dropped, you might be packing your bags. It was wild, unpredictable, and wrestling at its purest. But while the territories were thriving, change was coming, and it was wearing a suit from New York. You may already know, but come back to find out who's in the suit and why wrestling would change forever. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and until then, I'm the Cosplay Nightmare. This is where wrestling meets character.